What is up, Honey Badger Nation, man? Thank you guys tuning in to another episode of the One Big Fire podcast. And man, I'm really excited to jump in today. We got a special guest in the house, but also a special day. And you know, the whole concept around, you know, one big fire, it was really born back. Geez, we're aging ourselves here a little bit, talking about, you know, even when the concept was shared, but we just know that we're stronger by bringing all of our fires together instead of trying to burn on our own. And really, that's what you know, the intent of these conversations is to kind of bring all of our fires together and help us all burn a little bit brighter. So Al, I'll let you and Cuz kind of do the introduction. We've got you know, special guest in the house on a special day, and let's rock and roll.
Yes. Jessica, and I don't want to butcher your last name. Is that Nieto?
It's Nieto. You can say Nieto if it's easier for you, Al.
Yeah, like one of the biggest producers who's just slaying real estate. I mean, I can tell you that I personally have not sold 120 listings in one year when I was in my full. I mean, my team did, but you're just running circles around most people right now. And you know, it's funny because I don't know what you're hearing, Jessica, but from our perspective, we talk to a lot of agents on all the different, we call them stages. They're at early stage, late stage, depending where they're at. And it's either the production gap keeps growing. They're either hurting badly where, you know, they're considering even another career, or leaving the business altogether, or they're having their best year. And you're falling in that category. That's why we love bringing people on for hope, to know that there is light at this end of the tunnel, because there's people like you proving it that you can make it through this hard time. 2024 is going to go down as, you know, one of the most challenging years in real estate, especially after the run that we've seen. And we're excited to have you on the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. And what a surprise! What a treat! Right. Had to go change my shirt. I was wearing a different shirt when we had to keep it real today. Yeah, I love it.
Yes. We're so happy you wore that shirt. And that's actually a really good point. It is election day. Depending on when you're watching this, you're watching this live, you know that. And you know, it's probably the more divided that we've been. But what's great about this is Honey Badger Nation. This is one big fire. It's not two big fires. It's one big fire. No matter what happens at the end of today, we're going to keep winning. Jessica's going to keep winning. We're going to keep winning no matter what. And my hope is that no matter what happens, is that we all come together to make that one big fire. Because right now we're burning on two different fires, and it's just so it's so refreshing that, you know, you came back on. You left the little green room there for a second, come back with your Harris t-shirt on, and we don't love you any less. Yeah. And I don't respect you any less. I have such respect for you. But this hat, Jay went golfing with a couple of our people when we just came off of an amazing EXP con. I'm going to argue to say that was probably the best EXP con.
It was 100% the best one.
Ever. The best. Ever. But he comes walking back with his hat. Long story short, our Canadian Honey Badgers invited us on this gorgeous brand new yacht that one of the Honey Badgers fathers had here in Fort Lauderdale. And I got approached because I was wearing this hat on the yacht. And this young guy says, "Hey, we will get Honey Badger tattoos if you give us your hat."
Seriously?
And I said, "Okay."
Aren't there plenty of them?
Well, they're limited. So I said, "I'm just going to drive to the golf course tomorrow and get another one. Here you go." And so we got, I think, like tattoo number 6 and 7 coming here. If you're listening, Canada, we want pics. Yeah. But, you know, I wore it. We kind of vacationed down in the Keys, and it's funny because, and it's a shame that this is, but like, I don't care until I'm about to be served some food, because I just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, all right, if I'm going to go order a cheeseburger, I'm coming in like this because I don't want anyone spitting in my cheeseburger. I mean, that's a shame, but it's the truth, right? Well, I'm walking down Key West. It's day one of the boat races. And it was like, oh my God, oh, this is an awesome hat. Or I get one of these.
Right.
Same thing for us over here.
But We're together. It's one big fire, and we're so happy you're here, Jessica.
Happy to be here. So what are we
Jessica,
talking about today, guys?
Dive in a little bit, because before we came live, right, we were talking about, even no matter what happens coming out over the next, 12, 24, 36, 48 hours, that we still have a job to do. We still have, responsibilities. We still have leadership responsibilities. And that's really where it really falls into. And, just kind of some of the things that I've been paying attention to from a leadership perspective. And, we can learn all the fundamentals of business and this, hey, offers, traffic, conversion, fulfillment, market understanding, all of those things. But it's the softer skills of emotional intelligence. It's the things that really help us evolve as humans, but from our leadership perspective, that is absolutely critical. And now even more than ever. So you kind of alluded to that as we were jumping in. I would love for you to kind of, expand upon that and what that means to you. And no matter what happens, how we have to navigate and lead as leaders, into, the end of the year and into, 25.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you guys coming together. It's kind of the irony of it at first. I thought it was subtle with your red backwards hat, and then you turned around. I'm like, it's on now. Let's go. Perception is so much louder than reality, right? And we're just all together in Florida last week together, and just the vibe was, you could feel the community and the collaboration. Like you can't really even describe it, right?
Yeah.
To someone that wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's no way. And they all think we're full of Kool-Aid, because we are. It's just ridiculous how many people pour into you there. It's different than just kind of pulling up the hood a little bit, take a peek, and let me send you my QR code to buy my course. It was like, here's everything, go home and implement. And I think as leaders at EXP, it's the best place for leadership development, and we thrive in this community that we're in. And influence is it's the most powerful skill for success when you're using it properly and ethically, right? And so regardless of it, we're not in a one single issue society anymore. That, you guys agree with that?
Yeah.
It's not a single issue.
Right.
We're not voting on one thing or another. Yeah,
no, you're right. But you're touching on the conference. Well, who would you say who was your favorite keynote speaker of the conference? I know mine is, but I want to hear what yours is.
I say Jesse Itzler.
Yeah.
Okay, here's why. I grew up like we were poor, right? The grocery bag of cheese and milk and all that kind of stuff. But being around my dad and just like his spirit and his soul, and the way that it was like going to the beach was like feeling like you're a billionaire. That was everything to us. It was like, we're going with dad, we're getting all the camping shit. We're going camping. Like, it didn't matter how much we had, we were going to make candles in the sand and like catch starfish, and it was on. So for me, when he talked about his dad and having the plumbing business and how he was a soul billionaire, and how $1 times a billion is a billion. But if you got $1 billion and zero soul, that's zero.
Yes.
And for me, it doesn't matter who you're voting for, what you stand behind, or who you are. If you've got morals and values, and, my dad didn't vote the same that I did this year. I talked to my dad every single morning, sometimes twice a day, 3 times on Sunday. He's my best friend, so Jesse Itzler all the way. I think he set an EXP bringing him on to just really remind us why we do all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we are, we're working on getting that keynote. The recording of that will be in our One Big Fire app for anyone that has that app and uses it to build their team. You're going to be able to send that out to people and share what we saw in person. And one of the magical moments for me in that keynote was, and we've heard it. It's you could even say it's cliche, but when he was running that race and he hired that crazy guy, the ex-Navy SEAL, he didn't hire him. Maybe he did hire him. I don't know, but they ran it together. And I think the mantra that he kept speaking over and over again is, "I don't quit." Was it?
I never quit. How do you feel? I feel outstanding.
Yeah. And I
feel outstanding.
our boy John Kitchen just finished a 100-mile grueling race in Tampa.
He did.
Congratulations, brother.
And you look good. You look good for that.
And I know that John was sitting in there and he's running, he's getting through it. And I know in his mind he probably wanted to quit, but he didn't quit. And that was like really big here too. Like when you're looking at business, how many times do we want to quit? How many times do we just like, man, I screw this. There's something else out there. Why am I putting myself through this torture? But if you have a clear vision and you have that passion to help other people, and it's unstoppable, that helped me. I've heard it a million times, but when I saw him up there, he had the whole freaking room, 5,000-6,000 people saying, "I never quit. Mm-hmm. I never quit." And I'm like, I wanted to quit, and I think like after tonight, when we find out the results of this election, we have to remember that mantra, no matter what happens, is that we can't quit. We got to keep fighting. We got to keep moving on. We got to keep building. We got to keep adding value to our people, because that's what got us where we're at right now is iterations and adding value and pouring into others, which is why I was a little late to this. It's because I had some back-to-back calls and people that needed help. So, I share that with you, Jessica. Jesse blew me away. That was my first time. I haven't seen him speak. I've seen him on YouTube.
Me neither.
But that was my first time seeing him.
He's a dope presenter.
He's one of the best.
He had everyone crying too. Screaming. It's great. Yeah.
We had the opportunity to see him back at the last Content and Commerce in LA. And I think Cuz and I both agreed. I mean, he is probably one of the best, if not the best, from stage. Mm-hmm. When Gary Vee started, Gary Vee speakers, I mean, Jesse was the first one he signed. And so, he's absolutely incredible. And he has so many points in his message. And I mean, even the message when we got to see him back in LA, I mean, changed. I mean, it's the reason I did a 100-mile race, right? Is because, he said one of the worst things for us as humans is to accomplish a major milestone and not immediately reset the goal. And that has just always resonated with me. And, I just convey that message to everybody, right? Like, Jessica, you're having an incredible year, Icon of the Year award, all the accolades. What's the next goal, right? Like you have to set that, and especially you as a leader, you have to, what's next? There's always next. And we talk about, what we talk about vision and BHAG and the top of the mountain. Guess what? There's another mountain on the other side of this mountain. So we got to constantly keep pushing. And so for you, Jessica, as you kind of, tremendous year, all the accolades, everything, what's next? Like, how do you as a leader continue to keep resetting it? And then, really cascading that message down to everybody that you're leading, that's looking to you for direction.
Yeah, no, I love that question. There's two parts. One, EXP brought Chris Voss in, the FBI hostage negotiator, to talk to us, the top team leaders, top agents. And it was so cool for him to really articulate exactly how I feel about myself, which is that I am always curious. I am very ambitious. And that's, leading with innovation, but I'm also competitive. And when we were nominated, myself and Victoria Melton, for Icon of the Year, I called up Victoria. I'm like, "Hey, congrats, you were nominated as Icon of the Year." She's like, "What? Oh, I missed it on Workplace." Well, I was sitting next to her in general session, and they just ran off, that I had won the award. And I said, "I guess we need to set a new goal, because I'm going to kick your ass next year. I don't want to see you lose again." And it's just, that's our competitive nature. And she's like, "You're going to hold me up like Simba," like, we're just jumping around. But it's the spirit of the competition partnered with that collaboration. So as a leader, for me, when I heard Icon of the Year, it wasn't so much winning, it was just being acknowledged for something more than production, but actually about giving back and being recognized, that people are seeing that you're doing that. And so when I looked at winning the award, I thought, you know what? The first thing in my mind was gratitude, but the second was, how can I leverage it to help my team grow? Like, all right, let's go referrals. Like, the influence is powerful. And so people might think like, I'm this, like, whatever their perception is, I'm going to take advantage of that for the greater good of the people that I serve every day. So growing my team this year is number one, but, equipping them. We just came out of what is like the hardest year since 1995, like in 30 years of real estate. And like, I freaking slayed it this year. So I think, the amount of call it anxiety, stress, challenges, problems, roadblocks, whatever you want to call it, or whatever you call it, the amount that I put myself through every day would like kill many people.
Yeah, 100%.
And I truly believe that every day.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah, I can't tell you the number of times that you know, we've looked at each other and be like, man, a normal person wouldn't do this, would they?
This is nuts.
Like, it's crazy. Well, I'm curious, Jessica, as far as you know, winning at a high level and probably one of the hardest markets that we've seen, like you mentioned, in 30 years. What's been working for you? What specifically were you doing differently that allowed you to really level up and grow as much as you did this year compared to other years, in your opinion?
Yeah, my business is a little different. So, you know, I work primarily with institutional investor and investors. And then I get the residual business and I give that to my team, right? So buyers, things like that, leads and my SOI. But for me, so number one is relationships and tactical empathy, like Chris Voss talked about. Like, it's being just close enough to my clients, but knowing that every day I'm only as good as my last deal. Like, I might get one free pass after 10 years, but I'm not going to get two. So for me, it's like, it's show up and be better than the last deal. Don't look for a pat on the back, you know, try to focus on making that person that you're doing business for look amazing. Like, I want them to get their bonus. I want them to hit their numbers. I want them to be able to take more days off because I took more work off them. Those are the things that I focus on. And it's been highly effective for me. And I'll say this, people will come for you when you have a good market share of good business. Yeah. And they come after my ass all the time.
Love it.
Yeah.
Jessica, so you mentioned something there with the institutional investors. I would love for you to kind of share your 2 cents on that. And, you know, we've had, you know, our experiences, kind of our belief of what the institutional investors are trying to accomplish, kind of what are their goals. I've seen it to where people have put all the eggs in that basket and that basket go away overnight. And it really left them at a not a very good place to be, right? Almost starting from scratch. And so I would love for you to kind of share your take, kind of what their objective is, their intent, their goal, and, you know, how you're navigating that to not keep all the eggs in that basket, because I mean, that light switch can shut off overnight.
Yeah, 100%. And it has at different times. And so you have to be versatile, and you have to have different lines of profit coming through, right? Different revenue streams, or it could be a really scary light switch to have turned off on you. As an example, you know, back in 2021, we had a killer year when capital was cheap, and we were doing a lot of acquisitions. So like, I personally sold 242 homes that year myself with my business partner and some admins. So it was a great year, but we knew that it wouldn't last. Like, every single year working with investors is seasonal. And I've seen many of my counterparts or, you know, competitors go like completely under. Even people that serve those companies, like guys that are doing roofs or fences or contractors, like it touches many people. So you have to diversify yourself, number one. Number two, you know, they have to be agile. Like, they have to buy eventually, right? These institutional investors. So they've got to get a little bit more creative, be part of a solution. And I think from like a community standpoint, and, you know, be part of the solution to create housing, and especially with multifamily, like ADU stuff in California. It's different in other markets. Like, I know Leo had mentioned something about how new home sales are up, but it's different in California. Like, you only have so much dirt to build on in California. So the density has to change in zoning and things like that. So it's exciting times.
So Jessica, you're hitting on, you know, you're one of your top, I'm sure you have more, but you know, what John had alluded to is your institutional buyers have been one of your main sources of your top of funnel. And I don't know if you do any other lead generation, but I want to suggest something that's kind of not off topic, but Jared James, who I'm sure you guys all listened to, he went live yesterday. I was actually getting on a plane, and unfortunately it started, you know, the plane started to ascend, and I ran out of internet, so I didn't get to listen to the end of it. But his live, it was pretty spot on. I mean, I like a lot of what Jared said, but the thing that I'd like to ask you is something that he mentioned is that a lot of people, one of the things that we've done is we've helped people with top of funnel, build them a funnel,
Right.
help them make an offer, help them run the ad the correct way, and help get a steady, flow of leads, hopefully under $5 a lead or somewhere in that realm, so that they could actually start building a pipeline and working that pipeline. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. That's why it's called the top of the funnel. What he was focusing on is our ability to start conversations within those with our people, not just the new leads coming in, but there's such a huge opportunity. And I'll tell you this, full disclosure, when I was running hard, I was living off of the top of funnel. I had radio. Jay, you had radio TV. I had Mimi's magazines. I mean, I was advertising, and I had 4 ISAs cranking at once, and I was literally living off the top of funnel and ignored. I would say that I probably 50%, I could have doubled my business had I implemented a simple conversations, just get real granular with your people. And I'm curious if is that a strategy that your team has implemented, because there's so much gold left behind. And when you think about it, it's the least expensive lead anyway, but you got to start the conversation. What kind of strategies are you doing within the middle of your funnel, or even, toward the middle bottom where these are past clients of yours? What are you doing to cultivate deals from that pool?
Yeah, I mean, it's spot on. It's all about being able to cultivate conversation. And number one is you've got to look outside of what everybody's doing in real estate and learn from other people about communication. We get so narrow focused in this business. Sometimes you're not even looking outside of your company or your team and really dive into those soft skills that you mentioned, which is cultivating conversations with people. Is, they say you can make more friends in 2 weeks than you can in 2 years by making it about them. And how often do so many people say, you learned from Chris Voss last week, which is oh, I know what you mean. And then you start telling your story. They don't give a shit about your story. No one cares. And you don't know what they mean, right? And so, just learning how to use the right words. For example, saying, you're right. I love that, what Chris shared, you're right. And then just continuing to listen. And the conversion that you can have in a conversation and the result that you're getting is literally 14, 20, however many percentage higher. And then the next thing is simplifying. I think offer comes into play, just like you guys talk about a lot. You've given so many real estate agents value with Honey Badgers. It's insane. And just showing them how to build these funnels. But the biggest thing is, like you said, is giving them a good offer. And the offer could be as simple as giving them only 2 options instead of 50. Don't send people to your Facebook. Why are people doing that? Don't send people to a website or another place or Zillow reviews or anything else. Just hey, do you want to go on a tour? Or do you want more information? One or the other. Do you want to know how much your house is worth? Do you want to have a conversation? Just one or the other, So for us, it's just simplifying the way that we're getting in front of people. I'm working with someone in a software called Nudge. It's kind of like a go high level. But the big thing for us is just intimacy, creating intimacy with people. Because once you have the connection, price and selling them, it really is, that's easy. If you get to the point of a conversation where you're talking about price or terms, that part's not even a problem. Once you have some type of connection with someone, it blows my team's mind. I think just getting on the phone, I'm sure you guys have experienced this when you're with newer agents or seasoned agents, and just, oh yeah, watch this. So just pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody. And they're like, how'd you do that? I'm well, I didn't call them to sell them anything. I just cultivated a conversation. And I think there's different philosophies. Some people will say dial. Oh, I did 1,000 dials or 7,000 dials. That worked for a lot of people. Absolutely. For me, I'd rather get the 6 contacts from the lady that doesn't want to sell because she just loves me.
Correct.
Yeah. That's different. I mean, that's who I am. That's how I do business. So
yeah, love it. Yeah,
which is real. Real.
It's something that you mentioned that's something that we found as well is we spent the better first half part of my career going to every person within the industry learning, and they all teach different strategies, but usually it was one pillar. You go to Mike Ferry and it's only prospecting, and you go to Proctor was teaching, direct response marketing, or, Buffini was always teaching, it's by referral only. Those are all pillars to a business, but they're not the entire business. And so once we went outside the industry, and John and I went to a Jay Abraham event in, what was that, 2005, John?
Yeah.
By 2006. And the first question he asked when we got in the room was, how many of you have ever gotten a referral? Now, these are not real estate agents. This is every other industry you can imagine. And everybody raises their hand, of course. And then he's like, how many of you have more than one system in place, more than two systems in place, more than three systems in place for generating referrals? And everybody's hands are slowly going down, quickly going down, rather. And it was a big aha moment for us. Like, in the first 5 minutes, we realized, man, we've been so focused on, building this brand where, people would call us and we'd always ask the question, well, what marketing you have seen that may have influenced your decision to call us? And they would say, oh, we saw the wrapped Hummer, or we saw billboards, or we saw direct mail piece, or this. They would always tell us, and we thought the marketing was doing all the work. And we changed the question. The first question we asked when we talked to someone, to who do we need to thank for sending us your business? And it was crazy, because every person was influenced by somebody that said, hey, you should call us. And we weren't tracking that. We weren't paying attention to that. We didn't know, what was the referral ratio, within our database. And we learned that year. And we went from, it wasn't that we weren't getting referrals, because we were at about 22%. John, you can fact check me on that. I think it was around 22%.
We're in the 20s.
And we went to 48% the next year by implementing systems around taking care of our best people, the people that were out there being champions of our business, referring us business all the time. And we found out that year that the person that was referring us the most was one of our best buddies, that Dave DeBaca, who painted houses for us, remodels. I mean, I drank beer with the guy, every week, just about, So, but we had no idea that he was the one out there being the biggest champion, had sent us the most referrals in a given year. Yeah. And so, really paying attention to that was a huge shift. We went from 22 to, I think, almost 50%, 48% business by referral, at a much lower cost and with deeper relationships with the people that were actually out there really championing our business. And that it took us going outside of the industry and to an expert, that's not in real estate, to find that little aha moment. But it certainly changed our business and our approach from that point moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I go ahead, John.
No, go ahead, Jess.
I was just going to say that be memorable to people too, right? Like the people that we take care of, like, for example, like your termite guy or your painter that you mentioned, they don't wake up at EXP every day and have a bunch of people and billionaires trying to help them out and build their business. They don't have it. So we try to take a lot of the stuff that we learn as entrepreneurs. We identify pain points that some of our vendors have, like our termite guy or like our retrofit person will reach out and be like, hey, what are your goals for next year? How can we support you with your goals? What does business look like? Are you trying to make a hire? How can we help you? And then, they just feel like they have somebody that's really, really supporting their growth in their business. And when they think back on a good year, they think of you. Yep. And there's just no other choice than you to refer business to. So
1000%. I think, that's where that network becomes a lot more structured. And it was one of the best things that we did. We had everybody paying us a little bit of money for something, right? It was just of our belief that if we're taking the burden of the cost to acquire the client and we're handing it to you, there has to be some type of exchange that is a win for you and a win for us. It's not a win for me to, spend, time, energy, resources, dollars, capital to go acquire an opportunity and then just give it to you for nothing in return. So we need to form some type of relationship that's beneficial, yet we still want to go above and beyond. And we would bring people together once a quarter and we would just share everything that we're learning. Like that event we went to with Jay Abraham, like we got everybody together in a room for a couple of days and we just gave them everything that we learned. And I think that's, also ties back to the core values, just always add value, just make the relationship better, than what it was. And that's always kind of been our mantra too. We know, everything has an expiration, people move on. And that was my exit interview question all the time, is like, do you believe you're a better human now than when you were when you first came into our world? And 10 times out of 10, I've never had a person say, no, I'm worse off as a human being than when I first came to you guys. So, that's something that is super important as a value, to always add value. And I think, to your point there, and what Al and Jay and even you were saying, I mean, that's, to me, what's right moving forward into the future. No matter what happens with real estate, no matter, what gets sideways, what gets disbarred, what gets replaced, I think it'll always still come down to a decision of trust, and people are going to trust people that make them, that are memorable.
100%. And it was BAM, I think, an article that we were looking at earlier was broke down the 2025 Zillow Consumer Trends Report. And there were the three main takeaways of what sellers want, or what they want to see in an agent, was the positive reputation, the online reviews, and being part of a team. But the number one was tied for responsive and trustworthy. So for me, you don't have to be the one that always answers the phone, but what can you automate so that you can get in front and be the one actually having the conversation with the consumer when it matters, right? When it's time to have that conversation. And then trustworthy is the easiest one, because you can build that before they even meet you, right? By giving out really good information and coming from contribution. So you can pretty much nail all of those without having to be in front of every single person all the time. So
anything that you take from there, Jess, that you guys are implementing around those two factors, how we could, be more responsive, quicker, with more personalized touch, utilizing AI and the technology and everything that's available, but also, how do we continue to add value and stay consistent to continue to build trust? Is there anything that you guys are adding in new moving into the future?
it's got to be video. People just get to know you through video. And number one, you're going to come up in the results. So I know you guys implement video, but if y'all aren't doing video, you're just going to be left behind eventually, because that's where a consumer gets to know you. And I think the same thing goes for my team, just when it comes to standard operating procedures or different things, rather than write it out, put it in a video. So video, number one. Number two, and Jesse Itzler talked a lot about this, is it's just going like past the 10-yard line, like go more than 10 yards, right? So what's going to blow somebody's mind? For me, we do some project management for people. It's easy because we have really great vendors that we trust. But I kind of look at it like you got to look at the whole play both ways. So for example, like if you're going to send a vendor over to somebody's house, I'm going to make sure one of my agents goes to meet them, or at least going to call before they arrive, or I'm going to schedule a text to make sure I follow up to make sure everything went well and ask for feedback, rather than just like, yeah, here's a vendor, go ahead and schedule it. Like, what are the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 10 additional touches that you can make that make all the difference, that take no extra time? Strengthen your strengths, and every single time you touch somebody, how could you do it better? I loved Gadara's keynote too, and just when he breaks down every single touch point in the restaurant and talks about like how you can really change the experience that people have just based on breaking down every single touch point and going, how can we enhance it a little bit more? How can we make that experience a little bit better? And then boom, it just takes time. It takes reflection. But once you get it done, you guys know all about this. Like building stuff on the back end is tiresome work. It's brutal because there's going to be something else you're supposed to be doing all the time. But if you spend the time to do it, it all comes together. It's beautiful.
I missed that one. I was pissed. That was the one I wanted. That was the other one I wanted to see, and I missed it. I wanted to go in two quick directions. Actually, one backwards to what you had said earlier about the institutional buying phenomenon that's just been kind of going on for the last 8, maybe 10 years, but more over the last 5, where it's gotten heavy as the percentage of homes bought by institutional buyers just keeps going up. And that kind of leads into a multifamily investment question. But before that, I've read, I don't know, did you guys read the Opportunity Report?
Yep.
I read every word. I'm about to read it again. I would highly recommend, if you're in the real estate business right now, you need to get that report and read every word of it, and then read it all again. And I'm going to give you guys an app to make it real easy. And Jay, I don't know if you use it, but I actually have Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg reads it to me, so I can kind of follow along. There's an app that Kyle Whistle told us about, and I just absolutely love it. But there's a couple points, and it goes to what you were saying, Jessica, about trust. But there was basically the opportunity in this opportunity report that's broken down is refocus on, as far as NAR is concerned, they said the opportunity is to refocus on membership. They better refocus on membership, because I have a feeling they're already starting to lose membership. Elevating industry standards, strengthening advocacy, streamline operations, rebuilding trust. That's a big one. Fostering new talent. I'm super excited about the next generation coming in. Jay's got sons that are getting his license. I have 2 sons getting their license, and now the third one just said he was about to go into school too. So I'm excited about our next generation coming up. And the last point is upholding accountability. And I think as professionals, Jay and John, when you guys had Stefan Swanepoel on the stage at EGS, it was the danger report that just come out. Mm-hmm. What's really cool about his new report is he takes all his points in the danger report, and I don't know if he used AI or what, but it scored the accuracy of his predictions on a percentage basis. And I think it was in like the 90s, low 90s. Like, that's how accurate the danger report was. So if you want a little crystal ball to look into, and you're serious about staying in this business for the next 5-10 years, and you want to thrive, go check out that report. I'd love to know the 3 of you guys, any comments after reading the report, anything that stood out.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it was fascinating how he put it together and tied it back to the danger report. Of course, we read every page of that. Even he went on to talk about a potential Darwinian thinning of the herd, which is something Dan Kennedy used. Which it goes back to we always felt this way. We've always said this is the reason we created the National Association of Expert Advisors, was we felt like there needed to be a higher standard, of performance and quality of agent in the industry. And NAR never has really backed that, because NAR has been based upon a large membership and being able to lobby to get things done and protect the industry as a whole. And so, so there hasn't been, this higher standard that agents have been held up to. And a lot of the change that we're seeing now is putting that right into the spotlight. And, now you have to perform at a higher level if you're going to survive in this business. You have to be a better agent and add more value to the entire experience, or you're at risk of not being in business. And I think that's good for the industry.
I was going to say that Leo had shared some stats from a Tom Ferry keynote that he saw, and I have them here in my little notebook, is that there are 2 million listings year to date, and 26% of the agents got 100% of them.
Mm-hmm.
Can you repeat that, Jessica?
Yeah.
Can you repeat that stat?
And I'm going to say, I'll just say on the record, like, I'm not quoting this only to say in case I made an error here, but I know this part for certain was that 74% of real estate agents got 0 listings year to date. 0.
Yes.
I mean, the crowd is thin, right? I mean, there's no order takers in real estate, and those teams are bleeding out for the most part. Mm-hmm. That created a large pack of order takers, right? It's time to show people how to generate revenue like you guys have. That's true leadership.
Right. Just going to ask you this. So just kind of in tune to where Al's going this evening to Patrick Bet-David's headquarters, and he put out one of the most powerful reels I've seen in a long time, about a month ago or so. And one of our dear friends and clients and in Pittsburgh, Matt Durbin, shared the reel with me, and it was his experience at his son's soccer match. And he said as soon as the match started, he knew something was different. And he's like, "What is going on here? This like, what is this?" And so he ended up making his way over to one of the parents of the other team and said, "What are y'all? What is this? What is going on?" And he's like, "Why are y'all different?" And he goes, "Well, first off, and he asked him, how much do you guys practice?" He goes, "We don't practice. We train 4 hours every day." And just the differences. And what he broke down is, he goes, what I realized is that there's 3 types of people. There's the interested, there's the committed, and then there's the obsessed. And you know, talking through that and even talking with Matt about it, he said, you know, he goes, I feel the committed are even B players. Just the committed are B players. And then the people that are interested, CDs. And I think what we're seeing in the thinning of the herd is that those that are just interested, there's no place for them. There literally is no place in this industry if you're just interested. At a bare minimum, you have to be committed. But to go from where the committed to even where you're at, winning icon, you have to be obsessed. So
we're obsessed over here, right?
Absolutely. So where do you think the obsession needs to be in this industry moving into the future? What do you need to be obsessed about?
Well, I love what Chris Voss said is that if you love what you're doing and you believe that it's a privilege, then you'll never get tired. That's why I wake up before 4. I mean, we just had the time go back, so I've been up at 3, you know, and when I wake up, I feel excited. Like, not every day, like we all have the day, but I literally feel excited about what I'm going to do all day. And I've got half a day in before everyone starts their day. And people think I'm crazy. They're like, dude, it's just like a hustler. It's like your mentality. It's all about the hustle. It's not for me. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not for everybody. And it is a hustle. I'm obsessed with it. And I think where people need to get obsessed is to find out what you love doing. Otherwise you burn out. For me, it's, you know, I like to give back and just like you guys, it's like build shit, make stuff, break it, try to break it, find a better way. I'm just deeply curious and love learning. And we're surrounded by people, you know, for example, like I did a panel with Oscar Tehran and Carlos German and Austin Chevron and EXPCon coaching a winning team. The room was packed, like standing room only, trying to like squeeze in. Seats were full. And we asked everybody to raise their hand, like, who's a team leader in the room? Every person in there was a team leader. We had guys in there that have 600 agents on their team. They stayed the whole hour and listened because, you know, like Glenn, Leo, notepads, writing shit down, always learning. And so I think you've just got to get obsessed with, you know, be obsessed with what you're doing, but implementation faster is what you need to be obsessed with. Because moving, like my mentor, James Rembert says, like moving at the speed of implementation, that's where you learn and you get good at stuff and you find out what you love and you don't. But if you're just going to run around the EXPCon and all the regional rallies and Inman and NAR and go to all these conferences and learn a bunch of shit, meet a bunch of people and never call them back and never try anything you learn, just go do something else.
That's right.
Yeah.
Love it. Obsessed. Yeah.
Obsessed.
Kyle Whistle put up a post, I think it was either yesterday or today, but I read it this morning, where he talked about how impressive it is. And this leads to the difference between committed and obsessed. When you look at Kamala Harris and you look at Trump and their campaign schedule and how many times per day and then how many days per week that they are just the pedal is all the way down to the ground. And they still look fresh as a daisy. I don't know how they do it because Kyle's like, yeah, I spoke in 4 cities. I mean, when Jay, John, and I, and Michael, when we started building Honey Badger Nation, we were doing the same thing, but not nearly anywhere close to where at the level that they go at. And it's insane.
Crazy.
So,
like even Leo.
It's beyond.
Even Leo right now, like what? Oh my God. Yeah. But he loves what he's doing. And I saw, Al, that you guys did an event for human trafficking back in September. That was amazing. And then you did the agent to CEO event. That looked like it was amazing. So, you know, creating events and creating experiences for people that are intentional. If you're going to be obsessed with something, be super intentional about the experience that you're providing for people and creating. So,
well, you're singing our language now, girl. Hey, yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, let's get her a ticket to the next.
Yeah, for sure.
Please.
Yeah, that's something that it's not, I got to give credit to John. John is before we came to EXP, we had a model where we had a mastermind with a lot of our top people, and we would always very, very intentionally choose locations and events and experiences tied to those events that you would remember for a lifetime. We would do things like at the Kentucky Derby or at the Winter X Games in Aspen, or the World Championship boat races in Key West, and really try to create an experience. And those are moments. And it happened to me actually in Cleveland, and it has fired me up more than anything, was the number one, and it's your friend, Al, that was speaking at the event. And he was the number one. Yes. And he's the number one Century 21 agent, I think, in the world right now, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
And he came up to me and he said, do you remember what you told me 7 years ago? And I was like, I have no idea what I told you 7 years ago. There's no telling what it was. I had no idea. Hope it was good, right? And he told me what I had told him, and it was about focusing the shift into the listing side of the business, and he had done that, and he was asking me if I would give him the same advice again, based on because we were just joining EXP, I guess, at the last time that I'd spoke to him. But it's those conversations, and I remember after the event, after the concert. A guy came up to me, and it's actually Travis, our friend from Lawton that's at EXP, that pointed this out. He'd been following me kind of and just hanging out with me the whole time. And he's like, I didn't realize that I do this consciously. I will stop and talk to somebody. If they have a real question about their business, I will spend, and it doesn't matter how much time, until we get to let me understand what the problem is. What's the goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And I would try to give the best advice I can. And I stayed there. Even though all my best friends in the world were all in the same place for one time, in the first time in 5 years, I stayed there for probably 30 minutes talking to this guy, getting him over, which was a mental constraint of what was in the way. It wasn't a real constraint. It was the thought was the constraint of what he could or couldn't do based on his situation. And he said, dude, I think you just changed that guy's life. And I was like, you think? I'm like, maybe. Well, that's what I was trying to do, but I just didn't realize. But that's where I get fulfillment, is pouring into people.
100.
Right. And then you don't even recognize that that's what happens until someone comes up to you. 7 years ago, you said something to me that changed changed the trajectory of my career. And so creating those types of events and really adding value. And it's the same with dealing with buyers and sellers, truly and genuinely being interested in other people and how you can make a difference in their life, and going above and beyond, like you said earlier, Jessica, is really what we're all obsessed about. That is the thing that gives me energy. It gives me passion. I want to do more of that. You know what I'm saying? If I can create more of that in my life, that is what fulfills me. And so, yeah, it's fascinating. But those events, you got to go back and implement. And some people do, and some people won't. But if you can create an experience where you give people the kind of information that can really change the trajectory of their life, and they listen and they go back and implement those things, and they come back and tell their story later, man, that is that's the most fulfilling thing. That if I can do more of that, that's what I'm trying to do with my life.
Yeah, and that scale, you don't always know that it happens, right? Unless you hear from that person,
right?
If you have a goal to impact 1 billion people, you're not going to know.
Right.
The point is that that's the way you serve every day. Right. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So
well,
good.
I think this has been a great example of civil discord and how we're going to move forward together. This has been hilarious. I don't post on social media much about it. And I think, as an ambassador of our brand and of our country, and of humanity and community that we have here in our industry, I just always want to be that person where I could be a light in the room, no matter what side of it. And
right.
But this was fun. I'm gonna to be fair, I saw you guys with your hats on.
Jessica, you're the ultimate class act, and we're here to support you and all your people. I would love to wish you best of luck, but no matter what happens after tonight, we will be there for you no matter what. And we want to help you grow. And you're making a big, big impact in our community as a leader. And I want to thank you and applaud you and congratulate you on everything that you've accomplished. And you're just getting started. I know you. You're an obsessed honey badger, and you're about to go to next levels that you never even thought were possible. And I can't wait to watch and cheer you on.
100%.
So thank you so much. And I did put a link, by the way, in the remarks. If anyone is interested in learning at a high level how to build wealth through multifamily, my partner Jay right here, in about 6, 7, 8 other of our partners that are acquiring multifamily. We're going to be in Dallas this Saturday and Sunday. And I put the link in there. What is it? ConnectCon Texas or something like that.
That's for anybody.
Hop on a plane.
For anybody.
Oh, anybody. Yeah. And Grant Cardone, G is going to be in there blessing us with some amazing multifamily knowledge. So come and join us if you can, Jessica. I think Jay's
going to take care.
He's going to be flying his jet around the United States, just picking people up.
Yeah, I'll have to tell you all a story about how this has transformed into something pretty interesting. But yeah, there's a lot, for over the years, there's been a lot of really, really intelligent, smart business people that we've been lucky to be in business with, work with at different capacities. And that room is going to be filled with some of the smartest people that I've ever met in my life. And I'm super excited to be there and share that experience with everyone. But multifamily really changed the direction of everything that I've been doing in the last 18 months. And I'm excited for others to catch the vision for what's possible and really how to build wealth and make a difference in even more people's lives along the way.
Love it.
I love it. You guys will slay it. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Appreciate you
guys. Thank you. See you next time. See ya.